God!
Victoria Emergency Services, what's your emergency?
This is Callan Marine Park, one of our trainers. She's in the orca pool. The whales, they've got her. She's screaming, but they won't let her up. We can't reach her.
Are you saying the orcas are attacking her?
Yes, they're dragging her under again.
February 20th, 1991 should be etched forever into the dark chronicles of human encounters with wild animals kept in captivity. Nestled along the rocky shores of Victoria, British Columbia, Sealand of the Pacific looked peaceful on the surface. Calm waves lapped against the concrete barriers, and seabirds wheeled overhead, their cries blending with the distant murmur of tourists. The sun filtered through a pale winter sky, casting a cold glow over the marine park where families gathered with eager anticipation to witness the majestic orca performances. But beneath this serene facade, a deadly drama was silently unfolding. What began as routine, the playful splashes, the trainers' practice calls, and the orca's elegant choreography, would soon spiral into a nightmare. It was a brutal reminder that no matter how much humans attempt to control or contain nature, the wild, unpredictable force of these apex predators remains untamed and always ready to assert itself. This was more than just a tragic accident. It was a descent into a terrifying reality where the fragile boundary between human and animal worlds shattered with horrifying finality. The water muffled the desperate screams that echoed only briefly before being swallowed by the deep, cold pool. It was a grim testament to how swiftly life can unravel when confronted by the raw, untethered power of nature, a power that no concrete tank or safety protocol could truly contain. Picture the heart-wrenching fear of losing someone you love, not to an illness or a careless mistake on the road, but to a creature you admired in a place built for wonder and joy. That gut-twisting helplessness was the core of Claire Brennan's story. At just 20 years old, Claire was full of youthful enthusiasm, bright-eyed and passionate. A marine biology student, she carried a deep love and respect for the ocean and its creatures, her dreams tethered to a life spent alongside them. Her part-time job as an orca trainer at Sealand was not merely work, it was a calling. It offered her the rare chance to bond with these magnificent beings, to be part of their world in a way most people could only imagine. Friends and family remember Claire's infectious smile, her tireless dedication to her studies, and the genuine affection she held for every whale she worked with. She was the kind of person who could light up a room, her future stretching out ahead of her, as vast and open as the ocean she adored. Days at Callan Marine Park blended training drills, captivating shows, and meticulous care for the orcas. Claire spent countless hours observing their behaviors, learning each whale's distinct personality and quirks, believing she had earned their trust. She carefully prepared their meals, monitored their health, and executed the elaborate routines that enthralled thousands. For her, this wasn't just a job. It was the first step on a path towards marine conservation and research, a dream to one day study wild orca pods and protect their natural habitat. Yet lurking beneath this hopeful narrative was a chilling truth: the very creatures she revered held an immense power capable of turning an ordinary afternoon into a scene of unimaginable horror. Sealand was home to 3 orcas: Tilikum, a massive male with a troubled past, and 2 females, Haida II and Nutka Fourth, both pregnant during the incident. To the trainers, including Claire, daily work with these enormous animals was a carefully choreographed dance and uneasy trust forged over years. But orcas are wild predators, their instincts sharp and ancient. No matter how close the bonds seemed, the concrete confines of their tanks could never replace the sprawling, dynamic ocean they were born for. This disconnect, the clash between nature and captivity, set the stage for tragedy. Tilikum, weighing more than 12,000 pounds and stretching over 22 feet long, carried a violent history. Captured off Iceland in 1983, he had been involved in a previous fatal incident earlier that year when a part-time trainer died after reportedly falling into the pool. Though that death was officially ruled an accident, whispers of unease spread among staff. The immense size and strength of Tilikum, combined with the confinement and disruption of natural behaviors among the whales, hinted at a ticking time bomb. The pregnant females Haida II and Nutka Fourth added another layer of complexity. Hormonal shifts sometimes heighten aggression or protectiveness in animals, potentially intensifying volatile dynamics. The tragedy was a collision of human ambition and nature's raw, unyielding force, a stark reminder that even in places designed for education and entertainment, the wild remains wild. The orcas' power, intelligence, and instincts could never be fully tamed or predicted. And when those invisible boundaries are crossed, the consequences can be swift and devastating, forever altering the lives intertwined in their depths. Confined within the stark chlorinated walls of the pool, the orca's wild instincts, so honed by eons in the vast ocean, found no outlet but to manifest unpredictably. Behind the scenes, subtle changes in behavior had quietly surfaced, a nudge that was a bit too forceful a command, once reliably followed, now met with hesitation or outright refusal. These incidents, often dismissed by trainers as mere playfulness or normal orca quirks, hinted at an underlying tension. Perhaps during training sessions, frustration simmered beneath the surface, unnoticed or rationalized amid the daily routines. These small moments, seemingly inconsequential at the time, were the quiet warnings, the tremors before a devastating quake. The very nature of performing tricks interacting so closely with humans was unnatural for these majestic creatures, confined to a space that paled in comparison to their ocean home. The relentless repetition, the artificial environment, and the pressure to entertain created a crucible where stress could simmer, fraying the fragile sense of safety for both trainer and whale. In the wake of tragedy, former trainers and employees painted a portrait of a workplace where safety lines blurred, where the immense risks of working alongside apex predators in captivity might have been underestimated or even overlooked. The relentless drive to maintain dazzling shows for eager crowds gradually chipped away at caution, eroding the vigilance necessary for truly safe interactions. Looking back, the events of that fateful February afternoon were perhaps less an unforeseen calamity than the inevitable consequence of a complex web of factors tied to captivity's inherent contradictions. The warnings, those nudges of discomfort, the unspoken snarls beneath polished performances, were drowned out in the rush of spectacle, and yet none of it was enough to prevent the tragic loss of Claire Brennan. How many signals had been missed? How many moments of rising aggression were quietly ignored before the final fatal act? That afternoon, as the sun cast long shadows over Sealand of the Pacific, the final show's cheers faded into a haunting silence. Claire, the young part-time trainer, was near the edge of the orca pool, carrying out routine, post-performance tasks. Perhaps she was tidying equipment, sweeping debris, or preparing for the next day's schedule, the calm after the storm of applause. The air was still a stark contrast to the earlier excitement. Then, in what eyewitnesses later described with a mixture of disbelief and horror, Claire found herself suddenly submerged with the three orcas, Tilikum, Haida II, and Nutka Fourth. Some say she slipped on the slick concrete, a hazard familiar to anyone who's worked poolside. Others whisper that Tilikum, the inquisitive giant, reached out, grabbing her foot and pulling her into the frigid water before she could react. Whatever sparked the event remains uncertain, but the outcome was chillingly clear. Claire was now trapped in the tank with three enormous, powerful orcas. The familiar playful splashes and graceful movements instantly turned menacing. What once inspired awe now became a nightmare of relentless force. Witnesses reported a terrifying shift, the whale's behavior turning from cooperative to aggressively primal. This was no longer a game. The orcas dragged Claire underwater repeatedly, their immense strength making escape impossible. Each time she broke the surface, gasping, her cries pierced the cold air. But the whales would shove her down again, denying her air, denying her freedom. Her screams echoed through the empty stands, a desperate, heart-wrenching plea for rescue. The whales moved with unnerving coordination, creating turbulent currents that trapped her within their watery prison. The pool, once a place of joy and fascination, transformed into a deadly arena. Claire was no longer a trainer, but prey. Staff heard the chaos erupting and rushed toward the scene, panic gripping them. Desperate hands scrambled for safety equipment, hook poles, life rings, anything that might reach Claire and bring her back. But the whales anticipated every move, positioning themselves between hers and the rescuers, blocking all attempts at salvation. The scene was one of utter helplessness. Each failed rescue attempt deepened the horror, the weight of powerlessness pressing down on everyone watching. The frantic 911 calls spilled out the grim reality, a human life slipping away beneath the water's surface, while those on the outside could only watch in despair. Emergency responders arrived swiftly, police, paramedics, firefighters, but the orcas' active interference rendered their expertise and equipment powerless. The water, once a symbol of wonder and life, now stood as an impenetrable barrier. Eyewitness accounts from staff spoke of the whales tossing Claire like a rag doll, their immense power crushing hope with every movement. The ordeal dragged on, hope fading as Claire's surface appearances grew rarer, her cries weakening, then falling silent. Yet even after her struggles ceased, the orcas remained agitated, their powerful bodies churning the water in restless motion. It took hours, agonizing, endless hours, before park staff with emergency personnel's aid could coax the whales into a separate holding area. Only then could divers enter and recover Claire's body. The official cause of death was ruled drowning due to forcible submersion by orca whales. But the sterile language of the report belied the brutal truth: Claire had been held underwater, forcibly prevented from surfacing until life slipped away. The discovery of Claire Brennan's body cast a heavy, somber silence over Sealand of the Pacific, a chilling and irreversible closure to a young life bursting with promise. The weight of loss settled deeply across the park, an unspoken acknowledgement of the terrifying power held by these captive giants. What had once been a place of wonder now felt haunted by tragedy. In the immediate aftermath, Claire's death sent shockwaves far beyond the marine park's boundaries, rippling through the local community and capturing national attention. Sealand of the Pacific, once a beloved tourist spot, quickly became the focal point of fierce public scrutiny and outrage. The dangers inherent in confining large, intelligent marine mammals were suddenly impossible to ignore, sparking passionate debates that continue to this day about the ethics and safety of captivity. The incident brutally reminded everyone that no matter how familiar or trained wild animals seem, their primal instincts remain raw and unyielding. Overwhelmed by the tragedy and mounting public pressure, Sealand closed its doors not long after, unable to reconcile the loss and backlash. Newspapers ran bold headlines, and the story captured international headlines, fueling protests led by animal rights advocates who had long condemned marine mammal captivity as cruel and dangerous. The fates of the three orcas involved Tilikum, Haida II, and Nutka Fourth added grim chapters to the unfolding story. Transferred to SeaWorld's larger U.S. parks, their presence there did little to erase the dark shadow cast by February 20th, 1991. Tilikum, in particular, gained infamy after involvement in 2 additional human fatalities, cementing his place as a symbol of captivity's risks. His story took center stage in the gripping documentary Blackfish, which exposed the physical and psychological toll of confinement on these highly social and intelligent creatures. The film peeled back the curtain on the devastating effects captivity can have, suggesting that aggression displayed by orcas like Tilikum may be a direct response to their unnatural and restrictive environments. His life became a haunting emblem of tragedy, born from denying magnificent animals the freedom they were built for. Claire's death also ignited profound legal and ethical debates. Questions surged about safety protocols, trainer exposure to risk, and whether the entertainment value of keeping orcas in tanks justified the dangers posed to both humans and animals. Lawsuits followed, investigations unfolded, and the incident marked a turning point in how marine mammal captivity was viewed and regulated. Leaked internal reports revealed a history of incidents and warnings at Sealand, casting doubt on whether enough had been done to prevent disaster. Public outrage swelled into protests demanding an end to orca captivity. Beyond the legal battles and activism, the human toll was deeply felt. Claire's family and friends mourning the loss of a vibrant young woman whose laughter and dreams were silenced too soon. Fellow trainers who witnessed the horror bore invisible scars, haunted by the sounds of Claire's desperate cries and the images of her struggle. The wider public shared in the shock and sorrow, grappling with the harsh reality that such a tragedy could unfold in a place meant for education and joy. Claire Brennan's story stands as a poignant, painful reminder of the fragile balance between human ambition and nature's untamed power, the immense responsibility carried by those who keep wild creatures in captivity. While the orcas still roam freely in the cold Pacific waters, guided by ancient ocean rhythms, the memory of that tragic day lingers like a shadow, a testament to nature's unpredictability and the high cost of our attempts to control it. Though the echoes of Claire's screams have faded with time, the questions her death raises continue to reverberate. What truly stirs behind those intelligent eyes when the vast ocean is replaced by concrete walls? The delicate balance between human and animal worlds was irrevocably broken that day, leaving us to wonder how much of the wild spirit remains when freedom is taken away.